Everyone who follows the NFL knows that the New York Giants have been really, really bad over the past decade or so. Aside from 2 playoff runs that now look like flukes, they've consistently been one of the worst teams in the NFL, picking in the top 10 8 times in the last 10 drafts. Talk about the true reason the Giants have fallen so far. All it took was 1 season of missed opportunities. 1 season of a team failing their Hall of Fame quarterback. 1 season that doomed the Giants for a decade. The Giants were coming off a disappointing 2014 season. 3 years after their win in Super Bowl 46, they found themselves thinking about rebuilding. The team had gotten steadily worse in the win column every year since 2011, but a new weapon helped keep them close in a lot more games the past season. With the help of their Offensive Rookie of the Year, the Giants had actually improved in point differential. The games they won big, and the games they lost, they often only lost by a few points. For this reason, the expectation was greatness in 2015. In addition, the team's 4-year rule for Super Bowls was due. All 4 of the Giants' Super Bowl wins came exactly 4 years apart from another Super Bowl, and it was set to be exactly 4 years since their last championship. Tom Coughlin, the revered Super Bowl champion head coach, would be given one more chance to bounce back and lead them to a winning season. A lot was on the line heading into this critical year for the franchise. Immediately, Week 1 was a brutal blow for the Giants and emblematic of the season they were about to suffer. It was a classic Giants-Cowboys Sunday Night Football opener. The Giants could not stop Tony Romo. He absolutely lit up the defense all game long for 350 yards and 3 touchdowns. Jason Witten dominated the New York linebackers and safeties for 2 of Romo's 3 touchdowns. But despite this, a huge fumble return by Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie kept the team right in the mix. And 2 more interceptions of Tony Romo helped the ailing Giant offense. Despite all the flaws in their play, the Giants found themselves driving down the field late in the 4th quarter with the lead. They led a dominant 4-minute drill all the way from their own 20 to the Dallas 1-yard line, with Dallas having 0 timeouts, only 90 seconds on the clock, and prime field position. All the Giants had to do was punch it in, or run the clock down, and they were in a great spot. Instead, Eli Manning dropped back to pass and threw the ball away instead of eating the sack, and the Giants proceeded to kick the field goal from the 1-yard line, providing the perfect scenario for a Dallas comeback. Of course, the Cowboys drove straight down the field into the Giants' red zone in 3 plays, and then finished off the comeback with an insane play. The poor call at the end of the game to run the ball, to not go for the win on 4th down, and the collapse of the Giants' defense in the final few plays was remarkable, but it was only commonplace for the 2015 season. Week 2 wound up being a similar story, although this time Eli was able to carve up the Falcons' defense with nearly 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. On the other side, Matt Ryan and Julio Jones had even better games though, and it was starting to become clear that the Giants' defense could not keep up with the rest of the league. TDs by Odell and Larry Donnell put the Giants up by 10 in the second half, but when the Giants punted with 3 minutes left to go in the game, the defense pulled their second of many collapses to come.
1st and 10, no timeouts left. Ryan gonna go deep for Jones. He's got it! Touchdown!
Now, after these back-to-back weeks of heartbreak for the G-Men, the team bounced back on Thursday Night Football with a 10-point win against the Redskins. Then another 2-score win in Buffalo the following week. If the team didn't collapse, they seemed more than capable of competing with every team in the NFL. An absolutely electric performance from Eli was the headline for Week 5. He shredded the struggling 49ers, who actually had a decent defense, for 440 yards and 3 touchdowns. On the other side of the ball, the Giants' incompetent defense managed to somehow allow the league-worst San Francisco offense to score 27. The defense really tried to choke this one away again, allowing another go-ahead touchdown in the last few minutes. But Eli Manning activated his famous clutch gene to pull his wounded team out of the gutter, leading an 82-yard drive with his main weapon being Shane Vereen and a final dagger to Larry Donnell. By this point it was clear, Eli was having one of his best seasons ever. All he needed was a little bit of help from his team, and the playoffs were on the table for the first time in a while. The team was 3-2 and the future looked bright. The next week curbed some of these ambitions as the Giants got blown out in Philadelphia in a messy game. In Week 7, the Giants got back on the saddle and took down the Cowboys, who were severely missing Tony Romo. Eli didn't have his best game, but he didn't need to because the team helped him out this week with 3 interceptions, including a DRC pick 6 and a 100-yard game-winning kickoff return touchdown. Week 8 was one of the flagship games for the 2015 New York Giants. Eli and the team traveled to New Orleans for a big showdown in the Superdome against Drew Brees and the Saints. It was immediately apparent that this was about to be a legendary shootout that would go down in the record books. The box scores were incredible, a combined 850 yards passing and 13 TDs between the 2 future Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Running the ball was unnecessary in a game like this. Odell, Ben Watson, and Marquez Colston all went for over 100 yards receiving and a combined 5 touchdowns. This was one of Eli Manning's best games as a Giant, and that's saying a lot. Despite this incredible effort, his defense just could not stop the New Orleans passing attack. To this day, this game remains tied for the 4th highest scoring game in history. The Giants scored 21 unanswered points to take back the lead 49-42, but with the 2015 defense, you can guess what happened in the final moments. After the events of this game, the team rebounded with a solid game against the Buccaneers, but the week after this was another incredible matchup. The New England Patriots were an undefeated 8-0 as they entered MetLife Stadium, but that didn't matter. This is Eli Manning we're talking about. If anyone was going to take them down, it was going to be him and his coach, Tom Coughlin. Eli immediately stepped up to the plate. In the first quarter, he dropped a bomb.
Down he goes! It's Beckham getting loose, and he's going to take it the distance!
By halftime, the Giants led 17-10, and it looked like that 4-year rule might be coming true. Giants fans were surely having flashbacks to when they beat the Patriots in the 2011 regular season, which helped spark their playoff run. But of course, in the fourth quarter, the Patriots responded with a counterpunch of their own.
Open is Gronkowski. He gets away, and he has it inside the 20. They're not going to catch him.
Now, there was plenty of time for Eli to do his typical comeback magic, and that's exactly what he did. He led the team straight down the field to the goal line in the final few minutes. He threw a perfect pass to Odell in the end zone for the touchdown, but just when it looked like he had it, it was knocked out. Upon review, it was called incomplete, and the Giants settled for 3 points. I'm sure by this point you know the rest of the story, but there was even more heartbreak in this one.
Pass down the field, and it is intercepted. That the ball hit the ground.
The pass is ruled incomplete.
This from 54. Gostowski's kick. It's good!
Eli had outdueled Tom Brady once again, but this time it just wasn't meant to be, and the team fell to 5-5. After a bye week, the Giants started to lose traction. The team lost 2 straight games to average teams in Washington and the Jets. The Jets game being another heartbreaker in which the defense allowed 13 unanswered and choked away the game in overtime. They recovered with a win against the struggling Dolphins on Monday Night Football, resulting in a 6-7 record entering another game against an undefeated, this time Cam Newton's Panthers. If I had to pick one game as the reason the Giants have fallen so far in the past decade, it would be this one. The Panthers were 13-0 when they made the trip to East Rutherford. Cam Newton was well on his way to winning the MVP, and his deadly team, complete with the likes of Luke Kuechly, Greg Olsen, Josh Norman, and others, were heavy favorites. This played itself out rapidly. By halftime, Carolina was up 21-7, and the Giants had missed a big shot to Odell Beckham. By the middle of the third quarter, Carolina was up 35-7. A comeback at this point was surely impossible, or so we thought.
Here's a call by time. Jennings has got a first down and a touchdown. 34-yard try, and it's blocked. Live ball. Rodgers Cromartie got to it. The ball's out. Recovered by the Giants. Pass caught for Reed. Touchdown. Manning. End zone. Touchdown, Beckham.
In the span of less than 15 minutes, the Giants had scored 28 unanswered points to tie up the game. It was the most miraculous performance of Eli's career in the regular season, and he did it against an absolutely fierce Super Bowl caliber defense. But once again, there was still 1:46 left on the clock, and even though the defense had done a good job for the past quarter of play, everyone knew it was coming.
Quick pass caught by Ginn. He's able to slide down. The kick is good. The Carolina Panthers win it.
So that game was pretty much the nail in the coffin for the Giants in 2015. Had they won it, their playoff hopes would have survived, but at 6-8, the team was dead in the water behind Washington in the division. They lost out their final 2 games against Minnesota and Philadelphia, and at 6-10, the future of the franchise was uncertain. A press conference was called, and the future Hall of Fame coach, Tom Coughlin, was let go from the team. Eli Manning watched it unfold right in front of him, tearing up as he wished he could have done more for his coach. When Coughlin stepped down from the podium, he walked straight past the Giants owner John Mara without shaking his hand. This was the very moment New York was doomed. All the team needed was a few defensive stops in 2015, and they could have made a deep playoff run. If you flipped every one-score game, the Giants would have gone 11-5. The team was a few defensive pieces away. They were, along with the Saints, by far a bottom 2 defense in the NFL over the course of the year. They ranked dead last in yards allowed, dead last in passing, and 30th in points allowed. Meanwhile, the offense was easily top 10 in rankings, even with Odell Beckham Jr. as the only true threat. It became even more clear how close the team was to competing when we saw the results of 2016. Ben McAdoo took over the head coaching duties following his tenure as the offensive coordinator. After picking up a few key defenders in the offseason, the team went 11-5 and comfortably made the playoffs, even sweeping the dominant Cowboys. But things weren't quite the same as the Coughlin era. There was a complete collapse in the playoff game in Green Bay, and the following season was a total and utter catastrophe. McAdoo entirely lost the locker room and was fired mid-season, becoming only the second head coach to be fired mid-season in the 92-year history of the New York Giants. The 2015 season brings up many what-if questions about the New York Giants. Maybe if the team hadn't shoved Tom Coughlin out the door so quickly, they could have had more competent coaching and management in their 2016 playoff run, and maybe the Giants win a big playoff game in Green Bay for the third time. Regardless of if they won that game, it seems clear that the firings in 2017 never would have happened, which would create a chain reaction. Dave Gettleman and Pat Shurmur never would have been hired, and reaching for a running back with the 2nd overall pick, and Daniel Jones with the 6th overall pick would have never happened. Of course, we know that Eli didn't really have much left in the tank after 2016, but perhaps Tom Coughlin changes that. Maybe he would have coached all the way into the 2020s. It's hard to say exactly where the Giants would be if we saw this alternate path play out, but it would be hard for it to be much worse than it has been these past 10 years. At the time of making this video, the team is 49-85 since letting Coughlin go, one of the absolute worst records over that time frame. There's been plenty of seasons where teams have had great offenses and terrible defenses that drag them down. Drew Brees knows this all too well. But the 2015 Giants season stands out among them due to the crazy amount of heartbreaking losses in the closing moments. At the end of the day, 2015 will go down in history as both the season that sent the Giants in a downward spiral and the biggest what-if of Eli Manning's career.
Manning on 4th down. Moving to his right. Directing traffic. Looking across the field. Now he throws. It's a touchdown. Wade Harris.
Thanks for watching, everyone.